If anyone listening wants to know my explanation for why I haven't uploaded during my winter break, feel free to read that in the description. Otherwise, this is day 7 of Hear the Whole Time by Victor Martins. I wake from a funny dream. Kaio and I were living in our own musical, singing one song after the other, and for no apparent reason, we were wearing Power Ranger costumes. The songs were about stupid things like breakfast. While I was dreaming, the lyrics seemed amazing, but now that I'm awake, I realize they were actually really bad. Hot buns, cold milk, this is what makes me thrilled. See what I mean? When I open my eyes, I still have that silly smile on my face. I probably had it while I was sleeping, and if Kyle saw me with it, I hope he found it funny instead of disturbing. I want to tell him all about my dream, sing him the song even, but there's a knot in my throat. The blanket I hung on the window yesterday fell to the floor during the night, and the bedroom is flooded with light. I can see the dust particles floating in the sunlight, and they mesmerize me for a few seconds. It's funny how dust is always there, but we only really see it when there's a beam of light. It's kind of like me, but the other way around, because I only show myself in the dark, you know? And also because I never go unnoticed. Okay, that was the worst metaphor of all time. Let's move on, shall we? When I look over, Kai's already awake, reading The Two Towers. He seems focused on the story, but he can see that I'm up. Without peeling his eyes away from the book, he utters the first words of the day. Good morning, Lipe. Good morning, Kaio. I only now realize how hard it is to come up with a nickname for a name like his. Here we go again. I don't know what to say, and I feel like wrapping myself in my blanket and pretending like I'm not here. I hear Olivia's voice in my head, repeating itself 1,000 times, reminding me that this week's challenge is to talk to this guy. I consider possible interesting subjects to start the day. Sleep well? How do you like the book? Is it just me or is it chilly? But I don't say any of that because I'm tired of not knowing what to say and of feeling a ton of words stuck in my throat. I'm tired of being a speck of dust dancing in the air without ever being noticed. All right, no more dust metaphors, I promise. And so, to break the silence, I tell the truth, because those who tell the truth open the path for good things to happen. I think my mom said that once, or maybe it was Dumbledore. My therapist gives me challenges sometimes, tasks that I need to accomplish between sessions. And I know you didn't ask to be a part of it, but surprise! My challenge this week is to talk to you during the daytime, in the light, a normal conversation. No blanket hanging on the window, and I don't want it to seem as if I'm begging, like, Kaio, for God's sake, please talk to me. I say all at once, and he starts laughing because I said that last part in a funny voice. But, well, I basically am, I add, staring intently at the ceiling and hoping he won't think this is as ridiculous as I think it is. That's cool. Does she always give you a challenge? Do you get some kind of reward? He asks, and he seems genuinely interested. I don't get rewards. I say, intrigued because it has never occurred to me. I'll suggest that in our next session. But if you can help me, I'll give you one. A steamy, passionate kiss, I think. Okay, I'll help. What do I have to do? He closes the book and sits on his bed to get a better look at me. His gaze makes me feel anxious. I don't know. The conversation needs to be relevant and last at least 10 minutes, or however long normal conversations last, and it has to be during the day, in the daylight. Those are the rules. I say, still looking at the ceiling, because if my eyes see Kaio in his pajamas, I might die. Okay, you can start talking. I'm suddenly under pressure, and I can't get my thoughts straight, so I say the first thing that comes to my mind. I dreamed about you. Kaio muffles a laugh. It takes me a moment to realize that this sentence can mean a million different things. I start to explain myself, trying to seem as calm as possible. I tell him about my dream, the musical, the lyrics about breakfast, and the Power Ranger costumes. He laughs out loud at that last part. Which Power Ranger would you be? He asks, changing the focus completely. I'm happy for it because I wouldn't have known how to continue the conversation after describing that bizarre dream. I've never really given it much thought, I say. I would definitely never be the red one. The red ones are always boring. I think I'd be the Pink Ranger, of course, he says, striking a funny pose with the tip of his right foot on his left knee. Until this very moment, I never imagined this was a real pose that a human being could strike. Never. Then I'd be yellow, I say, because my favorite color is yellow, and because I don't know what else to say. And we would be BFFs. He laughs and strikes another diva pose. I laugh, but inside I feel the pressure of 20 buckets of cold water hitting me at once, because this whole pink and yellow Rangers thing reminds me that BFFs is the closest I can ever be to Kaio. 10 minutes, he said, snapping his fingers and checking his phone. Huh? I'm confused. The 10 minutes are up. 12, in fact. Congratulations, Mr. Felipe, you've just completed your challenge, he announces in that voice that, as far as I can tell, is supposed to sound like Olivia's. It becomes immediately clear that he's never gone to therapy in his life because he thinks therapists call their patients Mister. Yeah, seems like it, I say, and decide not to correct him in this instance. But you don't have to go quiet again. We can keep talking. Yes, yes, of course, we can. We can talk so much, like the whole day if you want to. I don't know. If it's not boring to spend an entire day talking to me, I say, getting lost in my senseless words. I have an idea. He starts texting someone on his phone. I'm talking to Becky, and she wants to meet you. Do you want to go out today? Hmm, I don't know, I say, because I really don't. And also because I don't really know how to process the information that Becky wants to meet me. Nobody has ever wanted to meet me of their own free will. I'm usually just a consequence in people's life, never a choice. Please, let's do it. I helped you with the 10-minute conversation, and you owe me a reward. Kaio goes for a low blow, using his abandoned puppy face on me, and I say yes. Who could say no to Kaio's abandoned puppy face? When I agree to go out with him and Becky, Kaio jumps up to go shower. Thanks, your place is great and all, but I can't take being cooped up in here the entire time, he says with a short laugh, then leaves the room. I let out a deep breath and, as usual, start a mental list of all the things that could possibly go wrong today. Mom starts jumping up and down with happiness when I tell her that Kaio and I are going to lunch at the mall. For real, she's literally jumping. I have 2 commissions for paintings that I need to finish today, and all I need is a quieter house. Take your time. Have fun, boys, she says, handing me her credit card and giving me a kiss on the forehead. And she also plants one on Kaio's forehead, which I find funny. It seems like she's really taking the whole I got myself a second son thing seriously. Today it's chilly, and I love chilly days. I'm wearing a black sweatshirt with pockets in front, which is great because as soon as we get into the elevator, Kaio and I both try to press the button for the lobby at the same time. He presses it first, our hands knock into each other, and I end up hitting the button for the second floor by mistake. I have no idea what to do with my hands. I quickly shove both of them in the pockets, and Kaio laughs, because when I do that, my elbow hits the first floor button. I laugh, embarrassed, and feel my face go red, and the two of us appreciate, in silence, this never ending elevator ride, stopping at every floor on the way down. We're meeting up with Becky at the mall, which, just like most things in this town, is around the corner from where I live. One of the advantages of a small town life. Everything is nearby, so you can get anywhere very quickly. To be honest, this might be the only advantage of living in a small town. The walk is only a few minutes long, but I don't want them to be filled with awkward silence. I am determined to eliminate all awkward silences from my friendship with Kyle. I ask how he and Becky know each other, more so to avoid the silence than out of curiosity. But that changes the second I see Kaio's face brighten as he starts talking about his friend. At that moment, I want to hear everything he has to say. We've been going to the same school since fifth grade, but she's a year older, so we've never been in the same class. She once defended me from some older guys who were giving me crap between periods, and then on, we started hanging out. I catch myself wondering if Kaio is bullied in school too, as well as the reasons for why people would do that, and how he's handled it. I want to ask him about all of that, but I don't want to interrupt the story he's telling. Now, more excitedly than before, when I was in 8th grade, Becky was in ninth. She told me to meet up with her after class and we're far from school because she had something serious to tell me. At the time, I was scared. I was afraid she was going to tell me she was in love with me and ask for a kiss. Back then, I was already sure I was gay, and at the same time, I didn't want to hurt her. After school, we went to the park downtown together and sat on a secluded bench to talk. She was all shy, didn't know how to start the subject, and I started feeling anxious. Kai was an excellent storyteller because at this point, I'm also feeling anxious. Suddenly, I pulled my notebook from my backpack and then told her to write down what she wanted to say, because that way might be easier. She grabbed the notebook from my hand, pulled out a pen from her backpack, and started writing. She crossed out 3 things until she was satisfied with what she'd written. Then, she ripped out the tiny piece of paper, folded it in half, handed it my way, and turned her back to me. I opened the note, and it said, "I like girls." And I remember that in that moment, I had to hold back a shout. Then I grabbed the pen and wrote, "I like boys," right underneath it, and handed it back to her from over her shoulder. She read it, let out a relieved sigh, turned back to me, and said she'd always known. Becky was the first person I told I was gay, and ever since then, we've been best friends. It was easier when we got to see each other every day, but, she's older. She graduated last year, went to college, started dating, and barely has time for me anymore. Kaio tells the whole story very excitedly, but I sense his voice is a bit sad when he finishes it. For a second, I'm a little angry at Becky for being the kind of person who forgets about her friends when she starts dating. I'd never be that way. Probably because I'll never start dating, or have friends for that matter. But deep inside, I feel jealous of Kaio and Becky's story. I wish I had a friendship like this one. I wish the first person to know I was gay had been my best friend and not my mom. Now I'm even more excited to meet her. I lie. My hands break out in a cold sweat when I meet new people. My stomach churns. And now I regret saying that I was on board for this. Too late, I guess. We're both waiting at the meeting spot, a fountain by the mall entrance that, if you look at it from a certain angle, it looks like a huge penis. And I look around me just so I won't have to face Kyle. I try so hard to pay attention to literally anything else that I barely realize he starts talking to me. "You're gonna love Becky. She's awesome. And gorgeous," he says, unable to contain his excitement. But not very punctual. I think about 15 minutes later when we're still waiting in front of the fountain. Suddenly, Kyle smiles from ear to ear, and I notice it because at this point, I've given up on trying not to look at him. Here she comes. I look over my shoulder and see Becky approaching. My jaw literally drops because she's not like anyone I imagined. I try to close my mouth quickly before anyone notices and to mentally organize everything I'm seeing. Well, I won't keep you in suspense. Rebecca is fat. In the little time it takes for her to reach us, I start thinking about a million things. It's weird how our minds are so used to same starting points. I didn't know how much about Rebecca, and yet in my mind, she was thin. I imagined her thin because it didn't occur to me at any point that she might not be. For a second, I feel like an asshole for thinking this way, but I have no time to follow that thread. When I snap out of it, Rebecca is already hugging me, saying it's a pleasure to meet me, and revealing that Kaio talks about me a lot. It's too much to absorb all at once, so I try to smile and seem nice. "I'm sorry I'm late, but Kaio knows me. I'm always late, so I don't even know why he still arrives on time. But I'm here now," Rebecca says, lifting her arms and waving as if she were thanking an audience after a performance. She has dark brown skin, and her curly hair is tied in a ponytail at the very top of her head. She's wearing a pair of earrings with Darth Vader's helmet on them. She's oversized sweatpants say, "Bitch, don't kill my vibe," and in her tight jeans have a galaxy pattern on them. I immediately decide I want to be this girl. "I can't even believe we're finally seeing each other," Kaya said to her and then turns to me. "Because, Felipe, there are certain people who go to college, start dating, and forget about their friends." "So, Felipe," Rebecca tells me, leaning on my shoulder, "there are certain people who don't understand how hard it is to juggle college, a crappy internship, and a long distance relationship. And that lecture is the last thing I need right now, you know?" I stand between them, not knowing if this is a serious argument or if they're just joking. I also don't understand why they're using me to talk to each other, so I opt to say something sensible. "Y'all, I'm hungry." Rebecca laughs and grabs my hand, which startles me, but I don't let go because I don't think that would be very polite. "I like you already," she says. Kyle smiles at me as if he's proud and relieved that I got Rebecca's approval so quickly. I'm proud and relieved because Kyle smiled at me and I didn't throw up. Together, the three of us make our way to the food court and stop at a place that serves the best burgers you can find for less than $10. I order a bacon cheeseburger with extra bacon just because. Kyle orders a cheeseburger with spicy mayo, and Rebecca orders a veggie burger. When the waitress is done writing down our orders and is about to leave, Kyle asks her to wait. He does it in my hand, and I'm surprised because I've never been touched as much as I have today in my entire life. "Felipe, do you want to split some fries?" he asks. I say yes without a second thought. While we're waiting for our food, Rebecca tells Kyle everything that's happened in her life in the past few months. From what I gather, the two of them haven't seen each other since Carnival in February. I listen attentively while playing with a straw to keep my hands busy. I still can't believe my relationship with Melissa has lasted this long. I swore she was going to break up with me after 2 weeks. Rebecca tells Kaio. "Melissa is Rebecca's girlfriend," Kaio explains to me. "They met during Carnival, and 2 days later, we're already official. The thing is, she doesn't live here. She lives a few hours away, and I spent the first 3 months worried because she's in a huge city full of good looking people, and I'm stuck here for the last 3.5 more years," Rebecca says, this time looking at me. What a shitty situation. I don't know what else to say. But now everything is way better. We fight sometimes because I'm an Aries and she's a Scorpio, which is the worst combination of all time, but we make it work, she says, and I just nod because I know nothing about star signs. Becky has always been really into astrology, Kaio relays to me, and then turns to her with a challenge. "Try to guess what Felipe's sign is." I love it when you try to. She doesn't even wait until he's done before blurting out, "Pisces, obviously." And I laugh because she's got it right. "You see?" Kaya slaps the table excitedly. "She always gets it right." "But how?" I ask. "You have to be a Pisces to get along with Kaio the way you do. The right way. Pisces are nice. Kaio is a Cancer, and you need all the patience in the world to put up with a Cancer. They're half princesses and half evil witch, if you know what I mean. You have to watch your back," she says, whispering to me as if she's sharing a secret tip. "Hey, I'm right here," Kaya says, winking at me. I feel my face go red because I was really not expecting a wink, least of all from Kaio. Our food arrives, we eat together, and everything is delicious. Kaio and I take alternate turns when going for the fries so our hands never touch, which is unfortunate. To be honest, I don't even know what would happen if our hands touched over the basket of fries. But I'll admit, I was hoping it would happen. When we're done eating, we leave the food court and start walking aimlessly around the empty hall, looking at the windows of the same old stores. Kyle and Rebecca go into a stationery shop, and I ask them to wait for me there because I need to go to the restroom. I run to the nearest bathroom, duck into a stall, grab my phone, open the browser, and type Are Pisces and Cancer a good match? Search. I discover that, yes, they are, and then leave the bathroom with a smile on my face. As you may have guessed, there isn't much to do on a Thursday afternoon in a small town mall. We look at the window displays, and Rebecca tells us about how her internship at a publicity agency is torture and her boss is a full time asshole. Kaio tells us stories about a teacher who used to be Rebecca's too, and the two of them are reminiscing over inside jokes. I don't understand much of what they're talking about, but I'm smiling for most of it because it feels nice, so nice to be in their company. I'll admit that I enjoy listening to the two of them talk about school because I don't feel like I have to participate. I can just be quiet and watch without seeming like a weirdo. Because for the moment, my silence makes sense. We go into a department store that's having clearance sale, and Rebecca walks all over the place, looking for clothes and making comments like, I don't understand this collection that they're calling about plus size, but that only goes up to size 12. And these pants should come with a warning that they're only good for people who were born with literally no butt. Having fun with things she says when suddenly my eyes catch a section I didn't even know existed. At the back of the store, behind the underwear section, I find a sign that says men's sleepwear and walk that way. I never go shopping for clothes, my mom usually does that for me. Now imagine my surprise when I discover there's an entire section dedicated to pajamas. And in that section, there are superhero pajamas. I feel apprehensive right away because every time I find cool clothes, I have to deal with the immediate disappointment of not finding them in my size. But the superhero pajama industry, unlike the therapist knickknacks industry, seems much more inclusive, and the PJs come in all sizes. I search for a Green Lantern set and find it easily. After all, it's green. I'm not a big fan of colors. I like colors on things, but never on me. I hold up the Green Lantern pajamas in front of me, trying to imagine myself in them when I hear Kyle calling me. Psst, what about this one? It'll look exactly like the drawing you got from the boy at the community center, he says, holding a pair of Batman pajamas in front of his body. It's all black, with the yellow bat symbol smack dab in the middle of the top. And though I don't really like Batman, I still buy it. Never again. Base pajamas. Never again. It's late afternoon when we finally leave the mall. Rebecca needs to pick up Melissa, who's coming to visit for the weekend, and Rebecca can't stop talking about it. I don't mind because I think it's cute how she talks about her girlfriend, all lovey dovey. I wonder how complicated it must be to live so far away from the person you love. Before we part ways, Rebecca throws her arms around my shoulders. She's touched me so many times throughout the day that I'm not even startled by it anymore. I like you. You're a nice one. I want to see you again, okay? She says, and I answer with a smile because I like her too. She's a nice one, and I want to see her again. And now, looking at Kaio and me, she starts planning the next day. Melissa is dying to see you. Let's hang out tomorrow. Just give me a call. But no buts allowed, Kaio. Your mom is out of town, and we have to make the most of it, she says, moving her hips in a funny dance. Kaio agrees and hugs her goodbye. I give her a wave and say, Bye, Rebecca. She turns around to leave, but before she walks away, she looks at me one last time. You can call me Becky, hottie. And I have no reaction because no one has ever called me hottie in my life. Granted, she might have said it ironically, or maybe she calls everyone that, or perhaps she really does think I'm hottie, but in a platonic way. I look down and start walking quickly so Kaya won't notice my face is going red for the millionth time since we left the house. On the way home, my mom texts me, I'm starving, in all caps, followed by 400 food related emojis, crying faces, and an alien that she probably included by mistake. Kaya and I stop at a Chinese restaurant, my mom's favorite, and order takeout. When we get back and she sees the restaurant bag, she thanks me desperately, as if she had saved the world. Her hair is pulled up, forming a nest at the top of her head. There are paint splotches all over her clothes. She takes one last look at the painting she's working on, a field of red flowers, and in the middle of the flowers, some hidden human heads, and throws the brushes in a cup filled with water. No more work for today. Now I just want to eat orange chicken, watch whatever crap is on TV, and have fun with my two boys. she says, bringing up the food to the living room. I walk in right behind her, trying to let go of the fact that my mom is calling us her two boys, and it's pretty weird. Kyle makes a funny face at me, and I think he's probably thinking the same thing. The three of us squeeze onto the couch, each holding our little takeout containers. We watch 3 episodes of The Bachelorette, a painfully bad reality TV show in which a single woman is stranded in a house with like 20 versions of the same dude, and in the end has to pick one of them. They're all mostly white, ripped, and kind of jerks, but my mom loves, and I love, how ridiculous it is. When we're done with our TV marathon, my mom slaps my leg lightly. Want to see what your grandma has to tell us today? She asks with an earnest smile on her face. Kyle looks confused, and with good reason, because he knows my grandmother is dead. My mom notices the confusion on his face and starts to explain. Since my mother passed away, Felipe and I look for ways not to forget her. One day, Felipe got a fortune from a fortune cookie that happened to be a phrase she used to always say, and ever since then, we like to believe that she communicates with us via fortune cookie. It's a little weird, I know, but it's become such a ritual in our home that the possibility of Kyle thinking we've lost our minds doesn't even cross mine. I look at my mom, and her eyes are watery with tears. Kyle listens to the story with a smile and strokes her shoulder. And what did the fortune say? He asked, looking at me. The world is yours. I answer a little emotionally, which always happens when I think about Grandma Teresa. The three of us go quiet for a few seconds, but my mom gets up, grabs the 3 fortune cookies from the coffee table, and distributes them among us. It's time to see what Grandma Teresa has to tell us. Let's go, one at a time. Kaio can go first, since he's the guest. Kaio opens the cookie, removes the slip of paper, and reads his fortune. Fate can be a shield or a sword. It's up to you to decide. The three of us start laughing because that doesn't make any sense. Sometimes Grandma gets a little confused, my mom says, then opens her cookie, takes out a slip of paper, and reads. The bird doesn't sing for a reason. It sings for a song. The three of us say, "Aw," because it's a cute fortune. Then Kaio and my mom turn to me, waiting for me to read mine. This is always an important moment to me, even though I know that most of the time these sentences in these cookies seem like they were pulled from a tacky Facebook page. I open my cookie, look down at the slip of paper, and take a deep breath and read out loud. Amazing things happen if you just begin to talk. I swallow hard when I'm done reading because if my grandmother is really communicating with me via fortune cookie, she could at least try to be a little more subtle. Am I right? When it's finally bedtime, I'm excited to wear my new pajamas. I mean, really excited. I can't remember the last time I felt this way over a new item of clothing. I shower, put on the pajamas, and look in the mirror. Unfortunately, it's not like Anne Hathaway in The Princess Diaries, where she lived her entire life feeling awkward and ugly and then suddenly discovers she was pretty the whole time. I'd need a lot more than new PJs for that to happen to me, but when I see my reflection, despite seeing the same old me wearing a Batman outfit, I feel better. Not good looking, but better. I leave the bathroom, and when I enter my room, I find Kaio sitting on his mattress looking as if he had an argument. He's staring at his phone, his eyebrows scrunched together, his face red with anger, and if I listen carefully, I think I can hear him growling a little. He sees me walk in and forces a smile. The new PJs are cool. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, he says. That's Superman, I answer. I'm sorry, I don't know much about superheroes. Kaio says, wiping a tear from his face. What happened? I ask, changing the subject completely, because A, the Batman versus Superman conversation wasn't going to go anywhere, and B, apparently the poor guy has been crying. I had a fight with my mom, again. I let out a long breath, trying to come up with the right thing to say. I closed the door, turned off the lights, and lie down on my side, seeing Kaio and light filtering through the window. Do you want to talk about it? I don't know what to say most of the time, but I'm good at listening. Today at the mall, I took a photo with Becky and posted it on Instagram, says Kaio. Right, I say, and I actually already knew about that. My phone sends notifications every time Kaio posts something. Don't judge me, please, and thank you. My mom saw the picture, then immediately called and scolded me so hard. She said horrible things I wish I didn't have to hear. She made it into the biggest deal. Yelled at my dad, told him to cancel the rest of the trip because she wanted to come back right away. They won't cancel the trip, of course, but my mom loves making a scene. My dad grabbed the phone from her. He said he'd deal with me and asked me to avoid causing any more uncomfortable situations. He said, and I don't quite see where he's going with this yet. Kyle clears his throat, and his voice is still teary when he continues the story. My mom doesn't like Becky because she's a lesbian. She thinks Becky is a bad influence and that her mission is to drag me down with her toward damnation or something. Of course, my mom has never said any of this out loud, but I know because I'm not stupid and I just wish she knew that without Becky in my life, things could be so much worse. I'd be much more miserable than I already am. This information catches me by surprise because never, under any circumstances, have I ever imagined remote possibility of Kyle being unhappy. He's always smiling, always good humored, and let's be honest, freaking gorgeous. What makes you unhappy? I ask, because I really want to know. School is hell, he answers, and for a second it feels like we're the same person. Becky has always been my best friend, best and only. The other kids at school started picking on me from day one because of my voice and the way I talk, because I don't play soccer and don't talk to other guys. I've always faced it in silence. The teasing, the jokes, the shoves in the hallway. I even kept to myself when they wrote Kyle sucks dicks in the boys' bathroom, he said, his voice shaking as if he still needs a bit more crying. And you never told anyone? I ask. Just Becky. She's always known about everything and always had my back. She stands up for me when she could, and I felt safe. But the thing is, she graduated last year, and this year I'm on my own. I know there are only 6 months left to go, but I can't stand it anymore. And then there's my mom scolding me over the phone. The one person who's ever taken, scolding me over the one person who's ever taken my side. This whole. He doesn't finish his sentence because he starts crying. The sound of his crying breaks my heart into 1,000 pieces. I wish I could force words out of my mouth to say something reassuring. Say that I can't take it anymore, either. Tell him I understand his pain. I'm not sure I completely understand his pain because I've never been a victim of homophobia. Being gay is something that's inside me, and when people look at me, they don't go beyond my appearance. But I do know what it's like to spend 5 hours surrounded by people who hate you. And I've come across disgusting nicknames written on my desk a bunch of times. So I guess, in the end, I actually do understand his pain. I feel like hugging him, but I don't. Maybe I would if we were both standing, but how do you hug someone who's lying down without making a super intimate thing? I mean, so I place my hand on his shoulder and I don't say anything, and that seems to be enough because little by little, he stops crying. I'm sorry for making a scene, he says, embarrassed. No need to apologize. Thanks for listening. And then he turns to the side to try and get some sleep. My hand is still on his shoulder, and I leave it there until my arm starts going numb. It's okay, I whisper, but I think he's already asleep. Okay, that was the end of day 7, and hopefully, when you're listening to this video, you will be able to come back for day 8 on my channel. But congrats on making it this far, listening to my voice. I know I messed up a couple times reading that, but I think I made it work. Yeah, see you soon.